NYRA Bets is the best play in online horse racing and betting. Bet from anywhere, anytime using your computer or mobile device. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions. Sign up now, NYRABets.com.
Mike Welsch coming to you from what in a few days will be a very busy paddock area at Del Mar's. We're only a couple of days away now from the start of Breeders' Cup 2017. Here with another edition of the Breeders' Cup Clocker Report, brought to you by NYRA Bets. You can be eligible for a $1,000 sign-up bonus, so go to NYRABets.com right now for details. Running out of time if you want to get registered to bet on Breeders' Cup 2017. Well, the majority of the Breeders' Cup horses are now on the grounds. Bob Baffert's contingent arrived this morning, though they did not go to the track today. The Aidan O'Brien crew is here, though they are in quarantine. I don't believe they'll be allowed to step out onto the track until Thursday. But other than that, everywhere you look, there were Breeders' Cup horses from the time the track opened at 5:30 this morning until the turf course closed 4 hours later. The weather, a little bit dicey today. We had some intermittent showers. They got a little heavier right after the renovation break when the majority of the three of the four Breeders' Cup workers actually were out there during that period of time. But the most impressive work this morning, I thought, came earlier, 7:15 during the special turf training session. Wahida for the filly and mare turf. I really love the way she went today. I had her 5/8 around the dogs in 101 and 4. The one thing she did that a lot of the Europeans don't do, she switched over to her right lead right on cue at the top of the stretch and finished strongly under a little bit of pressure. Her ears up. She looked good. She galloped out well. She's going to race on Lasix for the first time in the filly and mare turf. She is a Group 1 winner. She's going to fly under the radar in that loaded field, but Wahida certainly made a very favorable impression today. The three workers after the break, two of them certainly in maintenance mode. Roy H. for the sprint. Kent DeSormo was aboard for trainer Peter Miller. They wanted to make sure he didn't do too much. He still got the bullet work, 36 and 3 on my watch, even though Kent DeSormo took him out almost to the middle of the racetrack, turning into the stretch, had him under a big hole throughout. He still came home 23 and 4, ears pricked. A good last move for Roy H., who comes into the sprint with 4 wins and 5 starts this year and one of the favorites in that event. For the filly and mare sprint, Highway Star in from New York. She too was just out to stretch her legs today. Jockey Angel Arroyo had her well in hand from the time he left the pony. She broke off, went the first 8th in just under 14, wound up going 3 furlongs in 38 and 2. She also had her ears up, looked happy as she went through the wire. The last Breeders' Cup worker this morning, a little bit surprising, was Nezwa, who, like Wahida, will run in the filly and mare turf, but she worked on the dirt today. She went 5 furlongs in 101 and 4. I had her 23 and 4 for her last quarter mile. She finished up on her left lead. Like I said, a lot of the Euros will do that, but she was okay out there today, had good energy at the wire. Wahida was one of about a half dozen European horses that went out during that 7:15 turf break, and among the others out there with her were Ulysses, who's going to be, or is the morning line favorite anyway, for the turf, home of the Brave. Both of them got a little hot this morning, but maybe not anything, and it was a little bit chilly, 63, 64 the temperature at the time. But some of the Euros will do that, especially on their first visit or two as they get acquainted to the local surroundings. We'll keep an eye on them, but maybe nothing to be concerned about. Queen's Trust, who's defending filly and mare champion, who will face off with Lady Eli again today, over the weekend. She was also out at that time and looked well. She had just an easy gallop around the course. Speaking of Lady Eli, the entire Chad Brown contingent sure looked like they came out of their last works in that long cross-country trip from New York in good order. They were all out, or the majority of them anyway, out to really stretch their legs today. They all gallop strongly on a regular basis, and that was no different this morning. Among those that really caught my eye, Beach Patrol, Grand Jeté, Fanciful Angel, who was always on the muscle. He was really pulling his rider as he came down the stretch this morning. Voter Control looked good. And, of course, Lady Eli, she came out with her pony with Cherie Devereaux aboard, and she was full of energy when she broke away from the pony, but quickly settled into a nice relaxed stride and looked great again today. Paradise Woods, also really strong gallop this morning. Came out onto the track in draw reins, gave her rider all she could handle, galloping about 1 3/8. But the rider had her under control, neck bowed with those draw reins. She looked terrific, and I think she's sitting on a big effort in a very contentious distaff field. Late looked great again today. Catholic Cowboy looked great again today. Zilzal and Carrar were 2 of 3 French horses that came out kind of late over the main track, kind of canted from the wire around to the 3/8 pole, at which point the riders of Zilzal and Carrar both dropped their irons. They came out riding long. They dropped the irons shorter and then let them really roll down the backstretch and into the stretch, open galloping. Zilzal especially, I had her going half a mile in a minute flat. That's a full 2-minute lick down the backstretch and into the stretch. So like I said, most of the major work is done here, but plenty of action tomorrow to report on, as we'll see the Bob Baffert horses on the track for the first time. Todd Pletcher horses were out there today for the first time. The Kentucky contingent was in today and got in some exercise over the track. Trainer Mark Cassey was out there with his horses all galloping, including World Approval, who had an easy morning but looked good out on the racetrack. So, again, only a couple of days to go. We're getting closer and closer. We're going to have all the remaining reports and maybe a little wrap-up or two on what we've seen here so far for both the first and second days of Breeders' Cup 2017 later in the week. So stay right here at drf.com for the best coverage anywhere of this year's Breeders' Cup.